Now let's see the invocation of Paradise Lost. Of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe with loss of Eden, till one greater man restore us and regain the blissful seed. Sing, heavenly muse, that on the secret top of Oreb, or of Sinai, didst inspire that shepherd who first taught the chosen seed. In the beginning, how the heavens and earth rose out of chaos. Or if Zion Hill delight thee more, and Silo's brook that flowed fast by the oracle of God, I thence evoke thy aid to my adventurous song, that with no middle flight intends to soar above the Aeonian mount, while it pursues things unattempted yet in prose or rhyme. In this opening of the epic, Milton states his whole subject matters and asks the aid of the heavenly muse who gave Moses the 10 Commandments and inspired him to write part of the Old Testament. Milton's subject is man's first disobedience to God and the consequent loss of Eden. As characteristic in Renaissance epics, Milton makes a claim for the originality and uniqueness of his poem. It pursues, he writes, things unattempted yet in prose or rhyme. Because he is a blind man, Milton evokes or asks the muse to enlighten him spiritually, to give him inner light. This passage, therefore, is a very solemn invocation, a direct and devout appeal or prayer to the heavenly muse for divine assistance and inspiration necessary to the writing of his epic. Now let's look at the invocation line by line. Man's first disobedience here refers to Adam and Eve's eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which God forbade them to eat. Mortal taste means a taste that brings about death here. Man was originally created immortal by God, but became mortal only after eating the fruit. Brought death and all our woe into the world. Loss of Eden. After eating the fruit, Adam and Eve brought sorrow and death into the world and lost for man their place in paradise, a place which was regained only through Jesus Christ, the greater man, the Son of God, who, according to Christian theology, was incarnated to redeem mankind from death. Blissful seed refers to heaven. Heavenly muse. Like Asian writers of epics, Milton asks the heavenly muse for help, for assistance. He uses the name the Greeks had given to the 9 goddesses of inspiration, the mythical figures who explained in pagan terms the mystery of human creativity. But Milton shows his prayer is really directed to the Christian God, because the muse turns out to be the one who inspires Moses, the traditional author of the first 5 books of the Old Testament of the Bible, and the first person to teach the Jews, the chosen people of God, to explain to them how God made the world. Milton needs the inspiration of God himself, because he has chosen to sing of the highest possible subject, the providence of God. If he really is to make clear the ways of God to men, he will need God's help to understand his theme and to express it effectively. Secret here means hidden, concealed from ordinary view. Oreb, Sinai. Oreb, Mount Oreb, is another name for Mount Sinai. Milton loves the sound of pure round vowels, so he wants us to read Oreb rather than Horeb. That shepherd refers to the great Hebrew patriarch Moses, who went alone to the top of Sinai to receive from God the 10 Commandments and the old law for the teaching of the Israelites. Moses was also reputed to be the author of the first 5 books of the Old Testament, beginning with the book of Genesis, which tells about God's creation of the world. The chosen seed here refers to the Israelites, the chosen people of God. Zion Hill, one of the hills in Jerusalem, on which the Temple of Jerusalem was built by Jewish King Solomon for the worship of God. Silo's Brook refers to a stream which flowed close by the oracle of God, that is the Temple of Jerusalem. Thence means from there, from Zion Hill or Silo's Brook. Here Milton's meaning is that if the heavenly muse is not on the secret top of Oreb, but is more delighted to dwell on Zion Hill or Silo's Brook, he will invoke the muse from there, not from Oreb. The underlying idea is that Milton wants the same divinity that once inspired Moses to teach the Israelites to inspire him now in the writing of Paradise Lost, to teach the ways of God to man. Middle flight, the earth was supposed to be covered with 3 layers of atmosphere, of which the middle was level with the Aeonian Mount. It refers to my adventurous soul. Pursues means tries to accomplish. In rhyme means verse. So this passage of the opening 16 lines contains 2 coordinated clauses joined by or in line 10. The first one, if rearranged, reads like this: Heavenly Muse, sing of man's first disobedience and of the fruit. And the second one is, or I thence evoke thy aid to my adventurous soul. Here Milton thinks that his song is of higher order than Homer's or Virgil's, and therefore flies above the Aeonian Mount. Now I have a few comments on Milton's invocation of Paradise Lost. Milton follows the rules of the epic genre in this invocation. Epics begin with ritual, so does Paradise Lost. An epic poet begins by announcing his epic theme. Milton declares that he will tell the story of the fall of the human race through disobedience. Within the broadly stated epic subject, Milton lets us know that in his story, Christ will restore what Adam and Eve lost. An epic poet also signals his dependence on supernatural beings and the muses to guide him in the task of composition. Milton here amplifies this into a prayer to the God who inspired Moses to write the primeval history, and the God of the temple on Mount Zion. In spite of all these epic elements, Milton's story is the opposite of a conventional epic. Traditional epic is a success story. Milton's story is a story of human failure. The classical epic poets invoke a pagan muse. Milton invokes the Christian God. Traditional epic focuses on a conquering hero. Milton's protagonist is the archetypal sinner. So in every way, Milton was revolutionary. Now let's look at the assignments for the next lecture. I have some questions for you to think about when you read the Invocation of Paradise Lost. First, what does man's first disobedience refer to? How do you understand the mortal taste in the second line? Second, how do you interpret heavenly muse in line 6? And who does that shepherd refer to in line 8? What does the word thence, meaning from there, in line 12 suggest? Fourth, how could you straighten out grammatically the first 16 lines of the poem? 5. How are the conventions of classical epic used in this opening part of Paradise Lost? 6. What is the rhyme scheme of this poem? Thank you for your patience. See you next week.